The works of Eve Bunting.
Eve Bunting was born in 1928. She attended school in Ireland and grew up doing storytelling. In 1958, Bunting moved with her husband and 3 children to the United States. She then enrolled in a community college where she took writing classes. She felt a desire to write about her heritage. Her first book was Two Giants, which is an Irish folk tale. She is now the author of over 250 books. She has taught classes at UCLA and currently resides in California. Bunting has received many awards for her work. A few of them include the Golden Kite Award in 1976, Southern California Council on Literature for Children and Young People Award, and Mystery Writers of America in 1993. Eve Bunting has also received the Heal the World Award in 1995. Her book Smoky Night won the Caldecott Medal. In 2006, Bunting won the inaugural Arab American Book Award for books written for children and young adults. We read 4 books by Eve Bunting: Going Home, So Far from the Sea, The Wall, and One Candle. And in those books, Eve Bunting writes quality work that contains good characteristics. She clearly defines a point and gets it across to the reader. Her writing style is simple and easy to understand, but also worded in a mature way. Her writing style is also detailed and descriptive. We don't have to look into the pictures to find the meaning of the story. Her writing is very informational. Each of the stories are in the genre of historical fiction and were related to real-life situations. One Candle by Eve Bunting, illustrated by K. Wendy Pop. This Hanukkah is like every other one. Our house is filled with food and family and delicious cooking smells. Our great Aunt Rose is here. She's Grandma's sister. There's Mom and Dad, we 3 kids, and my uncle and his family. When Grandma and Grandpa arrive at our house, Dad gets to hug them first. Grandma brings a potato. When I was little, I thought it was to eat, or too great for the lake that my mom makes, but it isn't. Grandma puts the big brown potato on the plate in the middle of the table, and Great Aunt Rose leans across to touch it with a trembling finger. Her glasses are misted over. Poor Great Aunt Rose, my cousin Nancy whispers. She's crying again this year. You'd cry too if you were her, my big sister Ruth says. After sunset, we light 1 candle in the menorah with the shamash for the first night of Hanukkah, say special prayers, and take our places at the table. Dad piles our plates with sliced brisket and gravy. Mom passes the legs in the sour cream, and the dishes mounded high with applesauce. The candles in the menorah burn low, and shadows tremble on the ceiling. The table buzzes with conversation. I love all our holidays when we're together like this, but maybe I love Hanukkah the most.
After we've eaten, Mom looks at Grandma. I think it's time, Mama. Grandma nods. Then Dad goes into the kitchen and brings back the things Grandma will need. Grandma takes a small knife and begins to hollow the potato. We are all very quiet, even my cousin Baby Sam, who has been fussing all through dinner trying to pull off his bib. We watch as Grandma piles the small pieces of scooped out potato onto her plate. Tell us now about the bad time, Mama, Mom says. Her voice is so soft and loving. We lean forward. We know the story is by heart, but we want to hear it again. To us, the story is Hanukkah. Grandma takes Great Aunt Rose's hand. Well, it happened when we were young. We were separated from our families and put into a camp. It was called Buchenwald. That was in Germany. There was a war on at that time, and the Germans didn't like the Jews. Why, my little sister Bitsy asks, and I remember how, one by one, we'd all ask that question. Baby Sam will probably ask it next. Grandma shrugs, and Grandpa says, the Germans didn't like a lot of people. It wasn't only the Jews. Grandpa wasn't in a camp. He met Grandma afterward when she came to America. The camp was like the worst prison you could imagine, Grandma says. We were always hungry, always cold. There were 7 women in our barracks, but at least Rose and I were together. Great Aunt Rose begins to whisper the names of the other women. That way you'd say a prayer. Rose was 13. I was 12, Grandma says. Uncle Leon shivers. Just Ruth's age. We look at my sister Ruth and then at Grandma, trying to imagine. The older women worked in the fields, Grandma continues. Rose and I worked in the kitchens. We were small and thin. It's a marvel they even kept us. We helped cook for the officers. Grandma leans back in her chair and closes her eyes. Her chin quivers. All that wonderful food, none of it was for us. I look around the table. I am full from Mom's delicious cooking, and there were still leftovers. I can't imagine going hungry. Hanukkah was coming, Grandma says. We knew because we kept the dates on a hidden piece of paper. Working there in the kitchen, I had an idea. Little by little, I smuggled things out. A blob of margarine and a scrap of paper, small enough to hide in my hand. 2 matches. And on the day before Hanukkah, a potato. Not as big as this. I brought it out under my skirt. Grandma puts her hand over her heart. Oh, I was frightened. I thought my chest would burst with fear. The guard at the door looked at me so suspiciously. Aunt Rose walked beside me. She gave me courage. Great Aunt Rose shakes her head. I had no courage to give you, Lily. You held me up, Grandma says. What would they have done if they had caught you? Ruth asks. Great Aunt Rose gives a little moan. There, we are all right, Grandma says. She squeezes her sister's hand. When we got back to the barracks, the woman couldn't believe what I'd done. A potato! Heaven! Were we going to eat it right away? No, that wasn't why I took the risk. Grandma looks around the table at each of us. We know why she took the risk. I hauled out part of the potato, the way I did with this one. Grandma touches the potato and stares down at it. We ate the pieces I saved. Nancy interrupts. Raw, yuck. Grandma smiles and nods her head. Delicious, better than any candy. Then we put the margarine I'd stolen into the potato, pulled a thread from Rose's skirt to make a wick, and lit the flame. She pauses. We had 1 candle for Hanukkah. That Hanukkah candle lifted us, Grandma says, and there were tears in her eyes. It lifted us to the stars. Bitsy screws up her face. How could it lift you, Grandma? In our minds, sweetheart, in our minds. Now we watch as Grandma pours oil into the potato and lights the wick I've made from twisted threads. We have a flame. We have a candle. Grandma wipes away her tears and we all stand up. May I take it? I ask. Yes, Grandma says. I set the candle on the windowsill and it glows back on itself in the dark glass. We go outside. Dad has switched off the house lights and the Hanukkah candle has burned itself away. On the windowsill is this one steady flame. My sister Ruth whispers close to my ear. Why do you think Grandma wants to do this every year? I shrug my shoulders because I don't know for sure, but I think it has to do with something with being strong in the bad time and remembering it in the good time, and for the women in Grandma's barracks and the others who didn't live to come out. Grandma passes the little glasses of sweet wine to the grown-ups and the grape juice to us. We raise the glasses toward the flame. To life, we all say, and in that moment we are lifted to the stars. Years later, when the grandmother is gone, the granddaughter is now the one passing on the story to her family. I sit at the table with my family. This year it's my turn to tell the story, my grandmother's story of the potato. In the glimmer of the menorah, we enjoy lively conversation and the meal of our favorite holiday, Hanukkah. As I look around and see the smiles on everyone's faces, I think about how my grandmother will be proud her story is being passed down. I look across the table at my husband, and he lets me know it's time. As everyone finishes their meal, I grab the potato and begin to carve out the center. I tell the story of the great lengths my grandmother endured to get equal rights and the hardships it took to get there. I tell them of how this tradition of the potato began. Tears begin to swell, and they understand the importance of our heritage and the bravery of our ancestors.